right, 5 minutes after 10 o'clock, this is the portion of Thursday morning where I get to learn stuff, Robin.
I know.
Dusty Travis and Josh Howland are in the studio. The show is called This Week in Real Estate, and we're going to learn about buying and selling a home. And they have a guest today. I'll let them introduce their guest. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Larry. It's great to be here in beautiful Ocala, Marion County. And Josh Howland, co-host, is here. And also we have a special guest, Nina Ramonda. She's with Ameris Bank, and they're experts in the mortgage industry. And she's actually going to share with us, how easy it is to get a mortgage and how that process has been streamlined.
Excellent, excellent. And is it different now than it used to be, like 20 years ago, or is it still pretty much what it was then?
Oh, it's definitely different now than what it was when the mortgage industry fell out a few years back. Obviously, that caused a lot of tightening and guidelines and that type of thing. So we've had to adjust to a lot of changes.
How reliable are those online mortgage things? Are they reliable? I'd rather sit across the desk from somebody, but maybe I'm just old-fashioned.
And I think we've lost that personal touch, and a lot of people feel the same way. They would much prefer to sit across the desk, old school, and actually meet the person that's helping them walk through the process, as opposed to an order taker who's going to pass that on to somebody else and not be responsible for it.
I think that kind of like when you're looking for a house. I mean, it's fun to go online and look at a house with pictures and that new kind of 360 thing, right? Mm-hmm. But it is better to walk in and smell it and feel it, It's kind of better to be in there, right?
Well, with my customers from the mortgage perspective, like I tell them, the thing about Ameris is that's what they specialize in. They're lending their own money. They're not farming you out to find you money, and they're a tangible lender. You can go in and sit and talk to someone, and a lot of people can appreciate that, because when you have to deal with someone over the phone only or online only, it can become kind of nightmarish. So that's why we have such a good relationship with Ameris, because their customer service is top notch and the rates are phenomenal. Wouldn't you say?
I would say so, yeah. We're very competitive.
I think the reason most of us are not experts in this is because we only buy houses a few times in our lives. You guys do it all the time.
Yes.
Or you help people do it, right?
Yeah.
So what is the first step? Forgive me if this is a real kindergarten kind of a question, but is the first step you, Nina? Do we go to you first to find out how much we can borrow?
Well, it's always a good idea to get pre-qualified before you shop. That way you have a good understanding of what you can afford, as opposed to going out there and bidding on a house or trying to make an offer when you're really not familiar with what you're ready to spend.
Yeah, that's the first thing. When people call me and they say, I'm thinking about buying a house and I've looked at this and I looked at that. Okay, the first thing we need to do is get you pre-qualified with a lender, because the worst thing you can do is start showing a customer homes and then they fall in love with a home and they can see their family there, and then they go to get their pre-qualification and they couldn't afford that, or it's $30,000 or $40,000 less. So the golden ticket is get your pre-qualification first, and then that's your start. That enables you to start writing offers. So it's key. So that's why it's important to have a good mortgage person on your team that is going to make sure that they've got a good closure rate, and what they say is going to happen is going to happen. And that's what's so great about Nina, is if she says you're pre-qualified for this amount and this is the amount of money you're going to need to close, 9 out of 10 times you're going to need less money to close at day of closing, where with those online companies, throughout the process, they've always sort of thrown you a loop. Well, I need this, and now your debt to income is this much, and now when we close, you're going to need additional funds.
And you don't even know who's on the other end. I know, that's why I'd rather go sit with somebody.
You're not accountable because you never have that face-to-face with someone.
Yeah.
So Dusty, when people come to you and they are pre-qualified and you show them the homes, if it's not a new home, what kind of history do you give them on the home that they're looking at?
We search the stats, what is the condition of the home, and pass that on to the buyer.
Does the homeowner's insurance vary depending on the credit of the buyer? Or does that not matter?
Homeowners insurance will vary from agency to agency. It's always a good idea to shop that.
Oh, is that right?
I always recommend you get at least 3 quotes for homeowners insurance.
I didn't realize that.
We know someone who had found a home. They sold their home and they went to purchase this new home, and about a week before they closed, the sellers changed their mind and they didn't want to do that. So what kind of contingencies are set up for something like that?
Well, you really, in that situation, it's a contractual binding, but you're free to do what you want, and then, at that point, it wouldn't necessarily be a contingency, but you would sue the seller for specific performance because they're not keeping up with their end of the contract. So once you enter into that legally binding contract, you need to keep up with your end of the bargain if you don't want to get in any kind of trouble legality. But contingency-wise, from the buyer's perspective, if you see things that may make you feel a little uncomfortable about the house, like the roof or some of the other working components, you can always put a contingency in place. Well, we'll purchase the house at this price contingent upon the seller repairing the roof prior to closing, or escrowing a certain amount of money before we close to make certain fixes after we close, that kind of thing. So you can always protect yourself. The good thing about Florida is it's a transactional state. The Florida Bar Association and the Florida Real Estate Commission created the purchase and sale agreement to protect both the buyer and the seller. So there's provisions to protect both parties, where other states, there can be a conflict of interest. You're either going to work for the buyer or work for the seller, whereas in Florida, the realtor technically works for the transaction. So we don't really have a fiduciary obligation to one party or the next. You still want to do the best for the buyer and the seller, but it's the transaction that we're working for.
Let's say a buyer, with let's say good credit history, but they're retired, and let's say they got $100,000 in the bank, but their retirement, their income isn't really necessarily that great, but everything else looks pretty good. Are they in a different category than the person who's still working all the time?
We would just try to qualify them based on what they can afford. If they've got $100,000 in the bank, that means they can put a significant amount down, and we can make an affordable payment for them. So that's all things that we discuss. It's each individual scenario that we look at.
Is this a relatively affordable area, Ocala?
It is.
It always seems like it must be, right? Yeah.
Comparatively speaking to some of your other areas,
Coastal,
Tampa,
yeah,
coastal
coastal too.
areas, you're always going to be able to get more bang for your buck in Marion County.
Yep.
I can speak from personal experience. I lived in South Florida and Southwest Florida for
price, right?
25 years or more, a little more. And, as everybody knows, I was in property management, and I worked for developers and also worked closely with the sales department, because once the property sold, the sales department sold the person the home, then those owners become my responsibility to make sure they're happy. Mm-hmm. And the thing is you may be buying, say you're buying a $300,000 home in South Florida, Southwest Florida. They say, well, how many bedrooms do you want? Up here in Ocala, they asked you, well, how many acres do you want? I mean, that's really the difference.
Yeah.
I mean, you can buy land up here for the price that you can buy a home down there, a home with acreage up here. Mm-hmm. Really, that's why my wife and I moved to the area.
Did you?
It's so affordable.
Yeah.
And what's not to like about Ocala and Marion County? 100-year-old oak trees. And
some of the best radio stations here.
The best radio stations, great restaurants, and also, with Interstate 75 splitting the county, people don't know this, but 10 minutes, 15 minutes off of 75, you're in the country. You can literally be in the country. If you're in South Florida, there is no country, first of all. Yeah, there's no country. You can't go for a country drive down there.
You go to the swamp.
You go to the swamp. There's really no, there's no country drives down there. And up here, myself, I just love to go for a country drive. You can go out. You can go out and just view all these beautiful horse farms and the 100-year-old oak trees up here in Marion County, and it's just great. Actually, I think we have some video of the Calibreeder sales. We shot some video, a news package about that. We just wanted to share with everybody the beautiful horses that are here in Marion County.
All right, let me start that, and here we go.
I can understand because I got one of you guys back here. No, but $10,000 in back $9,000. Thank you.
110 consigned by Southern Chase Farm Incorporated. Greg and Karen Dodd as agent Global Conquest.
Florida today. We're at Ocala Breeder Sales, and we're with Mr.
John Stevens.
And what are you doing here today, sir?
It's a 2-year-old sale. We're selling our last group of 2-year-olds here. Looking forward to a good sale. And start off the new year buying yearlings again.
Davis.
Of
Ocala.
Old South Farms?
Yeah.
What do you love the most about what you do?
I think working with my family, it's a lot of fun.
So it's a family-run business? Mm-hmm. Do you enjoy being around the horses?
I do. I've been around horses for a long time. So. He likes the camera.
Oh, yes. You're a movie star. You are a movie star. He's getting ready for his future camera winnings. Where are you located?
I'm located out of St. George, Utah.
Oh, cool. Did you fly your horses in?
Last year I did fly them. This year I hauled them.
I guess they fly first class when you fly them in.
Yes, they do.
That's great.
Yes, they do.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, what this is the Ocala Breeder Sales. They have an auction several times a year, and the Equestrian Center is a huge business here in Marion County, and there are hundreds of trainers that train these thoroughbred horses for the thoroughbred industry, for the big race industry. And these people, for the United States, if you're viewing this in the United States or internationally, you can see the love that these trainers put into these horses and training these horses, and they just love what they do, and it's just fun to be around those people.
So do we have a lot of people moving into the area as first-time horse owners? Do we have a lot of that? Not sure.
I don't.
I wouldn't say necessarily first-time homeowners. There are some.
But horse owners.
Yeah, I mean, horse owners. I think most of them have grown up around horses. Now, they may be relocating here because of the plethora of options that you have, from feed and tack to training facilities, and then different disciplines. You know, we've got everything here from dressage, 3-day eventing, hunter jumper. You've got reining, cutting, cow horse association. All the disciplines are here, and some of the top people are here. A lot of the Olympic team are here. So for younger people, for younger people that are training, they're here. And it's just a beautiful area. And that's another big economic driver. And and there's mortgage options for that as well, for horse farms or small family farms, that kind of thing. There's a lot of options for that as well.
And the family farms really help out during the 4-H season, because the students in school, they raise their own animals and then they show them at the Southeastern Livestock Pavilion, and those farms are perfect for the children to raise those animals.
They are. Another thing to mention too is we've got health. Medical field is another big economic driver here, and there's a lot of great mortgage options for that, and a lot of people don't know about this, but Ameris has what's called a doctor's program, and that's, we've got a lot of new doctors, PAs, people moving here that are coming out of residency, and they've got a zero down product. So a lot of good mortgage options for different fields, whether it's equine, whether it's medical, first-time home buyer. They've got those options from Ameris.
And there are a lot of homeowners associations here in the gated communities, Dusty. Do you sell homes within those gated communities, and what are the extra things that the buyer has to be aware of?
First thing we ask them is, what type of lifestyle do you want to live? I mean, if you're a golfer, naturally you want to live on a golf course community. You know, if you're into the equestrian, the horse field, you want to live. There's actually associations here built around the equestrian, the equestrian mindset. They have stalls where you can stable your horses, riding trails. That's what's so diverse about Marion County. All this is available to really any type of home buyer that you want. And if you're a boater, you want to be on the water, I mean, we have Lake Weir, and also you're in the middle of the state, a little over an hour, you can go to either coast. I mean, which really people don't quite realize. Marion County is in north central Florida, and it also actually has 4 seasons of weather. I mean, even in the wintertime, it will get cold. If it gets cold,
it can get real cold.
It'll get cold in the morning. It'll get down to the 30s or colder. But by noon, it can be up to the 70 or 75 degrees. That's what's so.
No, it is a beautiful area.
It's just a beautiful area.
We were saying this morning that I don't know the percentage, but there's at least 90% of the time it's beautiful here.
Oh, absolutely. And if it's 30 degrees above zero here, it's 30 degrees below everywhere else in the United States.
I have a question for you because of your aviation background. There was a story that Jumbo Air is now up for sale. That real estate?
Yeah, that's what the word is. Jumbo Air is.
Is that airstrip actually longer than the one at the Ocala Airport?
That I don't know. I assume that it is.
Because if you can land a big jet.
Yeah, if you can land a big jet there, and they do land the big jets. I think they land. We don't want to talk about movie stars or who lives there, but I think we all know what movie star lives there and has jets there, and he's big into aviation. And again, that's why the Ocala Airport really needs lengthened. You know, with all the new growth that's going on, and you know, with the new growth, you bring in more air traffic. And you know, just and Ocala is going to go international very soon. It's international now, but it's going to go international a lot sooner than what people realize.
When you ask the lifestyle question for somebody looking to buy a house, does that play a role? Do they say, do you have an airport nearby? Does that come up?
Actually, there are airport communities, which is what is really, and it's of interest to myself. I love aviation. And there are airport communities where you can actually buy a home that has an airport. If you view some of these homes, and I do, I have some friends that live on airports.
Really?
And yeah, they park an airplane in their hangar that's attached to their house.
Really?
Yeah, it's really, it's just like if you can drive past OBS, the Ocala Breeder Sales building, and if you don't go in and enjoy that process, you have no idea what it's about.
Right.
Same thing about aviation. If you don't take the time maybe to stop at the Ocala International Airport and enjoy that facility, and you have no idea what it's about. When you get into the aviation and talk to people and say, "Oh yeah, I live on where do you live?" Well, I live on an airstrip. I mean, it's just so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, and actually, Marion County, there's quite a few airports, private airports, around Marion County.
And Jumbo Air is more affordable than people think. There's current tracks out there available now.
There are others as well, aren't there? Leeward Air Ranch.
Leeward Air Ranch is I have some friends that live out there, and you know, it's you don't have to be a multimillionaire to live out there. Actually, you know, I mean, it's affordable for people that that are not multimillionaires, and that's what's so interesting about Marion County. It's so diverse. And it has all these different groups of people that and actually your show has a lot of different people on air that pulls in a lot of the groups of what I think are interesting groups of people that are in Marion County.
When a person is going to buy a home in a specific area, like if they're next to parks or next to schools or next to just retail businesses, do they ask if this property can increase in value depending on what's coming down the pike? Do they ask you that question?
Some, it depends on what their goals are. Schools is a big one, especially for young families, because they want to know, are they zoned for that school and how is that school rated. But yeah, most people are educated in what they want. They want to invest their money. They're not going to do something that's going to depreciate. So they want to know, what are the trends moving forward? Is there growth and development taking place? Like we talked about last show, the 1,000 acres the county rezoned at 484 and 75 in Bellevue. Well, Marion Oaks was a hotbed at one point, and then it's been stagnant for a long period. But now, because they've rezoned that commercial, when they did that with FedEx, Chewy, and AutoZone, the Northeast values really went through the roof. So people that bought in 13 or 14 or 2012 before those were developed, they really were able to see the benefit should they decide to sell now. Big benefit. So people that are thinking about purchasing, Marion Oaks is going to be a good option in my opinion, because of the development that's going to take place down there in the near future.
And how about the professionals that live in the area, like doctors or home inspectors, real estate attorneys, things like that? Are you able to give the buyer and seller easy access to those names and contact information?
Oh yeah, I mean, well, with Google you have easy access to anything, but we've got a whole group of relationships with different people, whether it's real estate attorney, mortgage broker like Nina, or home inspectors, and we provide them a whole range of different people that they can call on. But back to the doctors thing, because we have so many doctors moving here, not only doctors but PAs, nurse practitioners, they're coming out of school with no income, and they think, well, what do I do now? But Ameris has got the doctor's program, which I want Nina to talk about a little, because that's a huge deal for people that, most of the time you need income for a certain amount of time before they're going to land on a home. Mm-hmm. So with this program, it's not as necessary.
MDs, DOs, dentists, pharmacists, veterinarians, if you're just starting out, you can't be in residency for more than 10 years. So these are for your newly placed doctors. It's 100% financing with no MI, mortgage insurance premium. Wow. So it's an opportunity for them to get started, get in their home. It is going to be done on a 7-1 arm, and an arm is an adjustable rate program, so it stays fixed for 7 years, and then after that it would begin to adjust. It's on a 30-year amortization, so it gives them time to get established in their new position, and then eventually down the road, if they felt like they wanted to refinance before that arm came due or started, then they could do that.
So would that apply to the doctor who buys another doctor's practice? Because the doctor's new, but the practice is old. Is it the same thing?
These are more someone who's starting out in the hospital. I mean, if you're starting in the industry, you're probably not just opening your new practice. Oh, you're probably just, at the hospital, or maybe starting in a new doctor's office. Yeah,
that's probably right. Yeah. Well, that's a good program. How did that get started? What's the
it is a portfolio product, and it's one of the programs that we offer at Ameris. And what that means is a portfolio product is something that we're going to service ourselves for a while, because it's not something that can be sold. It's not Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. It's not an FHA program. So it's something we service ourselves, and then eventually, if they choose to, they can refinance down the road.
Very good. The number to call if you want to be on the air real quickly, because we've got about 5 minutes left, is 622-9622. Where would they call? I guess we'll start with you, Nina. What number would they call for Ameris?
It's 352-812-2330. Or my office is 352-264-7170.
Do you guys have to actually approve the house, or just the money for the house?
Oh, well, that's part of the process. Yes, we're going to have an appraisal done, make sure that market value is there, so we can proceed.
See, the only reason I wondered about that is because I wouldn't know. I mean, I wouldn't know if the wiring was good and the plumbing was good. Somebody would have to help me out with that.
And that's why it's important to have an experienced realtor and an experienced mortgage broker. And if somebody comes to me and Nina's pre-qualified them FHA, VA, or USDA, which is a government-backed product, I know that the appraisal requirements are much more restrictive than your standard conventional product. So if you have an inexperienced agent and you find a house that you like and they don't know the FHA guidelines and you put it under contract and earnest money and spend money on an inspection and then come to find out that the appraiser says, well, the roof is this and the plumbing is this and this is that, now you've lost all that money and time. The seller's taking his home off the market. So it's important for the agent to know what to look for. So if I'm working with a first-time home buyer and they're FHA for a low down, and I check, okay, what is the age of the roof? Are there any issues with the roof? Are there cosmetic issues? Are the toilets flushing? Are the sinks draining? Is there hot water? Is the AC pumping cold and hot? And those are things that you want to look at before you waste the buyer's time writing an offer, earnest money, spending money on an inspection that you're not going to get back.
Last week we talked about for sale by owner. That's why I wouldn't do that. I would be, anybody could take advantage of me because I'm so naive about the whole process.
Yep. It's a very complicated process, and it's you know, that's why we have professionals just like any other industry, and you get what you pay for. So if you want to, you know, pinch pennies and try to save money, then you know you have a chance to.
No, not with a house. No, you should really do it right.
Yep.
Make sure you do it right.
But if you do want a home value, or if you want to see some homes, you can call myself. That's Josh at 352-207-4440. I just had to get that in there real quick.
Absolutely. No, I wanted you to.
And people can look at these listings in a print magazine also.
We have a sponsor, Homes and Land of Ocala, Marion County. Josh, can you speak about that for a second?
Yeah, Homes and Land is your premier publication. They've got a great magazine that you can find all over at the real estate brokerages, convenience stores, grocery stores, and they've also got a huge digital footprint. So they have a digital magazine and a website that you're able to view homes on as well through there. So that's homesandland.com, and that's a great area to check out homes.
I have a huge actual footprint, by the way.
And then, Nina, what is the address of your location?
My location is on State Road 200. It's 5400 Southwest College Road, Ocala, 34474.
Thank you again. You guys give us a really good show. I love the fact that you're bringing the little features with the videos and etc. So we'll see you next week.
Oh, thank you, Larry.
Did you get your number out, Dusty?
Yeah, people can reach me at 352-727-6607.
All right. Nina, good to meet you. Thank you for
Nice
coming
meeting
in.
you.
Josh and Dusty, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We'll be right back.